Hello business stars, this is your business coach with a brand new video on our O-Levels Cambridge Economics question paper solving series on code 2281 variant 22, which is paper 2. Okay, May-June 2022. So let's get started. So business stars, in Economics Cambridge O-Levels, there's basically a section A and a section B. Section A consists of a big case study. Obviously, you have to read the whole case study, but I cannot read the whole case study for you over here because it's going to consume a lot of time. Okay, so this is the first slide of the case study. Moving on to the second slide, which is this one, and then we have the third slide, which is this one. Remember, there is section A, and in section A, we have to read all the question and have to answer all the questions. Okay, but in section B, there are basically 5 questions. From there, you will be choosing any 3 of them. So let's get started with the first question. Business starts. Remember in section A, okay, section A is also known as question number 1. In question number 1, you have to answer all the answers from the case study. Okay, and so you cannot leave out anything. There is no option. However, in section B, there are options. Out of 5 questions, you'll be answering any 2 questions. So the first question from question number 1, section A, speaks of calculate Bhutan's GDP in 2018. This is a 1-mark question. So the answer was given in the case study. If you read the case study, you can easily find the answer, which was 2.6 billion. So let's move on to the question number 1B. So business stars, in question number 1B, you can see identify 2 indicators that are in both the World Happiness Index and the Human Development Index. It's a 2-mark question. The answer is life expectancy and GDP per head. Again, over here, you can find this from the case study. So let's move on to question number 1C. Moving on to question number 1C, which is state why Bhutan's 2018 government budget is likely to have increased total demand in Bhutan. It's a 2-mark question. The answer is the government spending was greater than government revenue. This is the first mark. So basically there was a budget deficit. This carries the second mark. Let's move on to the next question. Moving on to question number 1D, which is explain 2 reasons why someone may prefer to work in the tertiary sector rather than in the primary sector. It's a 4-mark question and we have to write 2 reasons. So each reason will be carrying 2 marks, and over there we'll have to use a knowledge and an analysis. Okay, so first mark for knowledge and the second mark is for analysis. In reason 1, same for reason 2. So over here, this is knowledge, this is analysis, this is knowledge, this is analysis. This is how we are going to distribute the 4-mark answer. Okay, the first reason is better working conditions. For example, we do not have to work in the wet weather. And the second reason is shorter working hours, permitting more leisure time. Leisure time means free time. So shorter working hours is basically the knowledge, and permitting more leisure time is the analysis. Business starts. Moving on to question number 1E, which is analyze how investment in capital goods and education can increase New Zealand's productivity. It's a 4-mark question and we'll have to divide the 4-mark into 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so let's get started with the answer. The answer is higher investment in capital goods will enable workers to work with better equipment. Thus, there's going to be more output per worker. The second thing is higher investment in education can enable more children to be more educated. This will increase workers' skills or the qualifications in the future. Okay, so basically the 4-mark is distributed over here. This is how you're going to write a question which is of 4 marks, and the question is 1E. Let's move on to the next question. Moving on to question number 1F, which is analyze the relationship between GDP per head and net migration. So to answer this, you have to read the case study because the answer lies in the case study. Okay, so the answer is generally the countries with higher GDP per head have net immigration or net migration, and the countries with lower GDP per head tend to have net emigration. So basically there is a direct relationship. There is a point to be noted, okay, which is over here it's written net immigration. Over here it's written net emigration. So let me read the whole answer again for you for better understanding. So generally, the countries with higher GDP per head have net immigration, okay, and the countries with lower GDP per head tend to have net emigration. So basically, there's a direct relationship. Furthermore, New Zealand has the highest GDP per head and the highest net immigration. Cyprus has the second highest GDP per head and the second highest net immigration. So again, there's a positive relationship or there's a positive migration. However, there's an exception. The exception is Kenya or Mozambique. Kenya has higher GDP per head but higher net emigration than Mozambique. Okay, so the 5 marks are distributed over here Absolutely, in a very simple way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we are done with question number 1F. Let's move on to the next question. Moving on to question number 1F, which is discuss whether or not enterprise is likely to have increased in New Zealand after 2019. It's a 6-mark question. Again, for you to answer this, you have to read the case study properly. Obviously, the case study is not here. You have to read it in a soft copy or in a hard copy at your home. Okay, while you're answering this. So high skilled workers may keep costs down and increase profits, which will motivate more people to be entrepreneurs. Okay, so here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 marks are done. Let's talk about the disadvantage or the exception. However, corporation tax may have increased or any other tax may have increased, which would reduce retained profits, and the amount of profit that can be kept would be reduced. Okay, so in some cases, yes, entrepreneurs may have increased due to higher skill of workers, but there are also certain drawbacks or certain exceptions which may not increase the amount of entrepreneurs. Let's move on to the next question. Business starts. Moving on to question number 1H, which is discuss whether or not a cut in income tax rates will increase living standards. It's a 6-mark question. So income tax is basically a direct tax. Okay, so if there's a cut in the income tax, will there be an increase in the living standards? That's the question. The answer is a cut in the income tax rates will increase spending, increase the total demand or increase aggregate demand, reduce unemployment, and increase output or increase the economic growth. However, people may spend on demerit goods as they have more income now if there is a decrease in the income tax rates. Okay, so if there's a decrease in the income tax rates, people will be having more money, and with that money they can spend on demerit goods. And higher spending, which could lead to a loss of health or life expectancy. Okay, so if people buy more demerit goods, there's going to be a loss of health and life expectancy. So this is how a 6-mark answer needs to be answered, and the marks are also divided 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's it. For business, commerce, and economics tuitions, you can connect with Muhammad Ishtiaq bin Zaman sir at 01685 221141 or email us at thebusinessstarBD@gmail.com.